Welcome back into CBS Sports HQ's Selection Sunday special. Alabama, the Crimson Tide, a #1 seed for the first time in their program's history and the #1 overall seed in the 2023 men's NCAA tournament. Alabama won the SEC regular season title, won the SEC tournament title on Sunday. And so with that, we have the chair of the men's basketball selection committee, the athletic director at Bradley, Chris Reynolds. Chris, thanks for joining us. Let's get right to Alabama, #1 overall seed. Did it need to win the SEC tournament on Sunday to ensure it got that overall ranking?
Well, certainly when we go through this process, we certainly have a number of contingencies, but they were solid all year long, and they earned the position. And so I would say that based upon them winning the regular season, winning the tournament championship, they certainly earned the overall #1 seed.
So was it them winning the tournament, and then the fact that you've got Houston second overall in the overall seed order? Houston did not win the American Championship Tournament final on Sunday. Did those results directly impact who got the #1 overall seed?
I would certainly say that it played a role for sure, because we follow all the results. The fact that Alabama was the tournament champion, Houston was not, was certainly something that separated those two teams.
All right, your seed order at the top goes like this: Alabama, Houston, Kansas, Purdue, UCLA, which lost to Arizona, and then Texas. Can you speak to the discussions that went into how the 1 seed and then where that cut line happened with the 2s? You actually do not have Texas above UCLA, despite the fact that Texas has 2 wins over a #1 seed team in Kansas, won the Big 12 tournament. I'm sure the margins were very, very thin, but how did the voting, how did the discussion, how did it break down like that, where UCLA still maintained a spot ahead of Texas despite not winning its conference tournament championship title in the postseason, and then obviously no Jalen Clark for UCLA as well?
Well, I would say when we, first of all, when we went through the seed list, Alabama, Houston, Kansas, Purdue, and then obviously we look at UCLA, probably since the bracket reveal, we were looking at Purdue and UCLA for that #4 position. Certainly, Texas have had a tremendous year. They were tournament champions. However, UCLA was the regular season champion in the Pac-12, and that certainly carried some weight.
Rutgers, let's go to the back end of the bracket. Rutgers not in the field. Was it because specifically it had 4 quad 3 losses that prevented them from getting in, because Rutgers owned a win more valuable than any team going to Dayton, a road victory against Purdue?
That certainly contributed to it, Matt, but I also will say February 7th, they were without a key player who didn't return, and they just looked different. And I would say that they also didn't have any really strong, high-quality wins in the non-conference as well. And so I would say a combination of those factors is the reason why they were left out.
On that note, specifically with non-conference, is that why a team like Texas A&M is on the 7 line, specifically because it did not schedule well in the non-conference, because A&M finished second in the SEC, obviously has been able to build up a lot of good wins as of late. But in effect, did they drop a seed line or two because of how they scheduled in November and December, Chris?
Absolutely, Matt. Their non-conference strength of schedule hurt them, in addition to 2 quad 4 losses on their resume.
My last question is about Florida Atlantic, FAU. It's on the 9 line. It went 29-3 against Division I opponents. Its metrics undeniably suggest it should be seeded or would be seeded higher. What were the discussions around the Owls, which obviously won CUSA, going away, dominantly won CUSA in the postseason championship? And that's not like it's a conference that's lacking other viable teams. North Texas and UAB, also very, very good teams. Why is FAU on the 9 line instead of maybe the 8, 7, or even 6 line with a gaudy record and really healthy metrics? Not as of late. Those metrics have been good for months and months.
Yeah, we followed them all year long, and we had a great deal of conversations with regards to them. But if you look at their resume, Matt, they lack the strong quality wins in the non-conference. And so when you look at teams ahead of them, the resumes are different. And certainly those teams in those kinds of leagues, they don't get the wealth of quad 1 opportunities all the time. But certainly we have to compare those schools to other schools ahead of them and look at those resumes. And so from the committee's perspective, there just needed to be a little bit more in the non-conference schedule in terms of quality quad one wins.
Is it more of a consensus or more of a debate between the committee when we talk about this? Because this comes up almost every year, Chris, where Florida Atlantic would have loved to have scheduled tougher teams in the non-conference, but people knew that they were going to be good again. So how much of it is, well, some of these factors are out of their control? Were there members of the committee, not everyone votes identically the same, were there people on the selection committee that were actually vocal about a Florida Atlantic or another team that they should be a C line or two higher?
Yeah, we did talk about factors such as that, but if you look at their resume, they have over 20 of their wins are in the quad 3 and 4. And so I would say if a school knows they're going to be good, they have to seek out those opportunities to get additional quad 1 wins, particularly if they want to have a high seed. You know, certainly they did enough to be in the tournament. They deserve to be in the tournament. They've earned that. But to what you're saying, if they want a high seed, then they have to show a little bit more.
And as you know, as the AD at Bradley, sometimes that is easier said than done. Chris Reynolds, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here on CBS Sports HQ on Selection Sunday. Appreciate you and the committee for all you've done. Hakeem?
Coming up, we take a look at the South region, and we do what we want to do. We do the picks, ATS wagers, as well as we look to put knowledge in your mind and money in your pocket. Why Southeast Missouri State might be somebody you want to put your money on. We'll explain next on CBS Sports HQ.